All right, so thank you for joining us today for our Simply Salads meal prep workshop. My name is Courtney Handelin. I am one of the health coaches at the Waukesha Employee Health and Wellness Center. And like I said, if you haven't already, please feel free to wash your hands. You can measure anything out if you want or need. And kind of work on getting your space ready while I start with a couple of things that I'll be talking about in the beginning. Yeah, and I think that's all that I had to say. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first of all, so today we're making our own salad dressing, right? And you might think, why on earth would I bother making my own salad dressing on a regular basis? If there's so many to choose from at the store, right? There's sometimes an entire aisle dedicated to just salad dressings. So a couple of reasons for you. It's going to be a lot healthier because there are no preservatives. You control what's in it, so there's less or no added sugar, less or no sodium, which is salt. Obviously, you save a lot of money because you can make a healthy, tasty dressing with just what you have on hand, and it tastes better. So those are a couple reasons for you. Oh, and I'm getting some messages people can't hear. Okay, can you hear me now? I'm not muted. I shouldn't be muted. Can everyone hear me now? Do you want to type or come?
Yep, I can hear you.
You can. Okay, awesome. Well, perfect. Then let me just reiterate what I said on this screen just in case if you missed it. So making your own dressing, it's obviously healthier, less preservatives. You control what goes in it, and you are gonna be able to make a variety. I don't know if you're like me. I don't buy store-bought dressings too much anymore, but when I do, often we use like a quarter of it, and then it ends up going to waste because it just sits in the fridge. And let's see, someone still can't hear, and you might have to call in if you still can't hear. You might have to call in using your phone. In addition, sometimes that can be an issue for people. Just the computer audio doesn't work. So give it a try with dialing in on your phone, but then watching on the computer screen. Okay, so moving on then, now that we covered why you should make your own dressing. So what we're making today, I'm going to show you my favorite way to make dressing, salad dressing. It's super easy, and I actually just make it right in the bowl that I'm going to serve my salad in. So today it's going to be a small one, but you can make it in a jar. You can make it in a blender if you want a smoother one. That's especially recommended if you're adding some like fresh herbs, or if you're making a creamy one, that might make it so it's just a smoother consistency. So today I'm going to use olive oil, and I've got a lemon here, so I'm going to use lemon juice, garlic, I've got some mustard, some pepper, and some salt. And on here I have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. If you're just making it just for yourself, a small salad, 1 tablespoon of olive oil will be plenty. And then I would do 1 teaspoon or so of the acid, whether that's vinegar or citrus. And really, the numbers here were just because I know sometimes people really like to get really specific. But honestly, when I make this dressing myself, I just pour it into a bowl. I don't measure anything out, and it's all by eyeball. And part of that is because it's really preference as well. And I'm still getting some messages. Tasha, if you're around, would you mind sending the phone number and conference ID, putting that in the chat box for people, please? So yeah, it's really all about taste. So like personally, when I do use vinegar, I will just add like a splash. So technically, like a good ratio is 3 O's to 1 V. So 3 parts olive oil, 1 part vinegar, or whatever your acid is. I'm not a huge vinegar fan, so sometimes I do a little bit less vinegar. And I go by taste too. So if I make it and I'm like, it's a little bit tart, I might add some pure maple syrup or honey, whatever I have around to kind of adjust the flavor. Or I might pick up on mustard a little bit, etc. So it's really, you can make it fit to your own taste and preference, and each time you can make it a little bit different. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, 3 parts oil, and you can use whatever you have on hand. A more bland tasting might be better if you want other flavors to come out, or you can do, if you have some like fun flavored oil, you can do that as well. So I have here, I already measured out 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Like I said, usually when I am making a salad like this at home, I don't actually measure it out. I just pour it in until it looks about good. And I would say that this 3 tablespoons of oil is probably just a little bit more than I would usually pour in, just a little bit. Oh, and I will say too, actually, if you like garlic but not overwhelming amount and you have a whole garlic clove, you can actually just cut that open, cut the garlic clove so that it's exposed, rub it around in the bowl before you do anything, or since I told you to add the oil, if you already did that and you've got whole garlic cloves, you can still do it, move the oil around a bit. And that'll give you the garlic aroma and some flavor without being overpowering. And then go ahead and save that garlic chunk. You can put it in a bag in the freezer for when it's time to make stock or soup, whatever it may be. Or throw it in the compost, or if you have to.
Please enter a conference ID followed by pound.
I have today minced garlic, so I'll add that a little bit later. So I've got my oil in here.
To continue in English, press 1.
Para español, presione 2.
Someone we've got might want to put themselves on mute. Okay. So the next part that you're going to add
is... To continue in English, press 1.
So 1 part acid.
Para español, presione 2.
For today's purpose, to make it simple for you, I had recommended 1 tablespoon of vinegar or citrus. I have lemon here.
To continue in English, press 1.
And the
Para español, presione 2.
So I have the pulp and etc. So I'm going to throw that in here. But you can use, again, whatever you have on hand, and it doesn't have to be 1.
Welcome to the audio conferencing center. Please enter a conference ID followed by pound.
1 tablespoon is usually about half of a lemon. Just to keep in mind, sometimes it's more. But again, it doesn't have to be exact. And if I was making this myself, I would just do whatever looked good, to be honest. Using orange or grapefruit, like the juice from an orange or grapefruit, can be a fun thing to try. Or if you have vinegar, any vinegar that you have on hand will be just fine. If I'm using like a red wine vinegar or something, I usually just put a little drop in the bowl. Again, because I don't particularly care for strong vinegar acidic-y flavor, or the tartness of it, I guess. But you could also use any like fancy vinegar you have, or infused vinegar, etc. So I've got my 1 tablespoon, which is about half of a lemon, in here. And lemon, I like to use that when I have it on hand. It's super healthy, good for you. Obviously, it comes from the earth, so it should be healthy. It has some immune boosting properties to it. And then the lemon peels, there's lots of fun things you can do with that. Actually, if you rub the lemon peel, like the inside cut part, mine is put away, but if you rub that on your teeth, it whitens your teeth, so that's fun. I threw it in my water to infuse my water a little bit. I'm sure you've heard, but you could put them down the dish or garbage disposal to help clean that out and give it a fresh smell. You can infuse them in vinegar to make your own all-purpose cleaner, or to make your own flavor infused vinegar or olive oil, etc. So lots of fun things you can do with it instead of just simply tossing the lemon peel into the garbage, although sometimes it helps to freshen up the scent of your garbage too, so that's handy. Okay, and then we come to the fun, flavorful additions. So this is where you add, your garlic, your pepper, and today I have had some green onions on hand, so I'm just going to toss those in. I had chopped those up. Those needed to be used. And garlic, again, you can measure if you want 1 teaspoon or whatever. I'm just going to grab a hunk here from my giant Costco container. I like garlic, so I never measure it. I just plop it right in there. And then mustard. I like to add mustard because it helps with the creaminess and then increases kind of the complexity of flavor. I had said Dijon on there, but today I just grabbed whatever looked good in my fridge, and we just got a spicy IPA mustard that I thought would be fun to have in the dressing today. So I'm going to add that in. Grind your pepper in. And if there's anything else you have around that you want to add, it's always fun to experiment with different flavors. Add a little bit of salt. Some other things to consider, and then I'm just going to mix it while I talk to you. You want to get that nice creamy emulsification, marrying all the flavors together, and especially the oil and acid together. So if it ends up being a little bit tart, like I said, you can add pure maple syrup or honey to kind of cut that. You can also add some Greek yogurt, a tablespoon or 2, if you want to make a more like creamy based dressing. Use anything you have on hand. If you have any fresh herbs lying around, like I said, you can add those. And if you have even like the stems of things, you can add that too. If you're doing that, you might want to, pulse it or use an immersion blender, something like that. Okay, and someone said that they're on and they can't see me. I should be pinned, my video should be pinned, but if not, you can right click on my video and that should make it larger for you. Okay, so then you can see, I'll see if I can get the image. It's probably gonna, it's gonna move, so you can't see it too good because I've got it, it's gonna move around, but it gets nice and creamy once you mix it together. You know what, let me get a jar so I can pour it in and you can see it that way. Okay, now usually I wouldn't pour it into a jar, but just so I can show you, because usually I would just toss my salad right in there. So here you can see it's got nice creamy texture. And then taste it, of course, and make sure you like it. It's really strong on the lemony flavor there. I personally like that, but if you don't like it, then go ahead and add, like I said, honey, maple syrup, whatever you want to do to change that flavor a little bit. Okay, so, there, I already had that on. So mix, like I said, just in your bowl, have it in a blender, shake it in a jar if you want to be using it. If you have extra, it keeps well for 7 to 10 days. If you're making it right in your bowl, you just toss the salad and add in any fun vegetables and toppings you want, which we'll talk about in a little bit, right in there, so you have less dishes to do, which is personally what I like to do. And if you do have extra and you end up saving it in the fridge, it's normal to have some of that separation. So just give it a shake or a stir before you use it. Some people find it helpful to leave it sit at room temperature for a few minutes to get it kind of back to that regular consistency that you want. Also, if you have extra, like personally, I made this and I'd be like, well, I don't know if I'm going to add enough salad to eat this all today on my own, and I want to keep it fresh. I would also consider using it for like to prep my pan, right? If I'm going to saute some vegetables or if I'm going to roast some vegetables, toss the vegetables in those before I cook them, so then you don't have to waste it either. Okay, and then I just wanted to talk real quick about some tips for building a healthy salad. Getting a variety of greens in there is good, but whatever you have on hand is fine. Trying to switch it up though, so you get some different things. And I like to add, if I have them, like radish tops or microgreens or sprouts, just to give it some different flavor. Experimenting with other produce can be fun. I usually cut up any vegetables that we have in the fridge on hand that need to be used up. So onions is a popular one. I might shred some carrots, etc. Radishes, cucumbers, kohlrabi, whatever we have on hand. When my mom's here, she really likes those fruity ones. So, you know, sometimes it's fun to make an apple and throw some berries in there as well. And my husband doesn't care for the fruit. So to hide it a little bit, I will like shred the apple so it's not as strong, but it still has that little bit of sweetness to it. Adding protein is always important to help your salad feel so that you can feel full longer. So I personally like chickpeas. Sometimes it's fun to actually roast the chickpeas and then add those. It gives them like gives it a salty crunch, kind of like a crouton would. Or a scoop of cottage cheese, nuts, a hard-boiled egg. I like grilled salmon on salad too. And then give it some crunch on the top. Some nuts and seeds. Sometimes I'll add just cooked quinoa, chia seeds, etc. So lots of fun things that you can do to change up your salad and make it different every day. Also, what's popular right now is doing the mason jar salads, and those are nice because you can take it on the go. You can meal prep your salads for the week, make a couple of them so that and they'll keep in the fridge. So if you're going to do this, really you can look up a ton of recipes, but I think that sometimes makes it complicated and makes us feel like, well, I don't have all these ingredients, so I just can't do it. But you can, make up your own salad. You can use the recipes for inspiration, but basically you just want to layer it. So your dressing is on the bottom, and then you're going to put your hearty vegetables in, and then the more like soft or liquid absorbent vegetables, and then layer in if you have like cooked quinoa or anything like that, and then your salad greens, and then on the top just put any nuts or seeds that you wanted on the salad as well, and then like cheese and beans I would layer in kind of in the middle. Okay, and then what to do if you are in a pinch and you just need to buy dressing at a store, or if you need to have some on hand for quickness or at work, etc. So there are a few dressings that are healthier out there. Basically, you just want to look at the ingredients list. So you're watching the sodium levels, trying to keep that under 250 milligrams per serving, assuming you're sticking to that serving size, which is usually 2 tablespoons. Less than 3 grams of sugar added, watch for that. Make sure that you're looking to see if there's any artificial colors or preservatives, and then be mindful of labels. Sometimes they'll say like fat-free or reduced sodium or whatever. You just want to figure out what is added in place to make sure that it still tastes good. And so I've got a couple brands here that tend to be better. They're pictured in the images there. You can find these at most of the grocery stores around here. I think the only one I've tried is the Bolt House ones, but I've heard good things about the other ones as well. And then same would go for those bag salads. Like some of them are healthy and some of them not quite so much. So using apps like Fujicate can help too to determine those or the dressings if they're a healthy choice. And for the salads, you want to look at the same of like, what's in the ingredients list? How many things can I pronounce? and the sodium, sugar, preservatives, etc. And you're more likely to have those be not quite where you'd want it with the salad kits, just because there's so much more involved in those. They've always got the fun mix-ins and the dressing, etc. That being said, I do occasionally buy those, especially in the winter when it's just not as easy to have salad around. Lettuce isn't as plentiful or as fresh in our area, unless if you're growing it indoors yourself, which you can. If you buy a head of romaine, you can just cut off about, 2 to 3 inches, put it in water, change it every couple days. This has only been in here for a few days, and I've already got a bunch of new leaves coming through. So that might be a fun thing to do in winter. But yeah, so those things are nice. The salad bags and the dressings are nice, but it is really fun to make your own and obviously healthier. All right, and just a couple of recommended resources for you. I'm not going to read this whole page because you can read that for yourself, and it's also just a lot of information, but that's why I sent you the PowerPoint slides so you can look at them. A few of my favorite apps that I use, some books that I recommend, and then some websites as well. And I do just want to point out the very first website. That is a chef, I guess that I could say that. He's really good. He's got a good book. He's all about reducing food waste, and he does these 15-minute videos and shows you how to cook from easy things that you might have around your house, and he does it in 15 minutes. And I have done some, and sometimes it can be more like 20 if you're not as quick at chopping or whatever, different things like that. But they're pretty nice recipes, healthy recipes. And he also has this feature, which I haven't tried yet, but I think it looks pretty cool, and I've read some reviews, called Scrap My Fridge, where you just take a picture of some ingredients you have that need to be used, send it to him, and he, within 24 hours, will send you some recipe ideas back. So some cool tools up there for you to check out. And then that is all that we have for you today, because this is our short lunchtime presentation. So a couple other opportunities for you coming up soon. And I especially want to point out in August, we'll be doing another virtual meal prep workshop. Tasha will be doing a breakfast one for you, but in the evening, so you can have breakfast for dinner or just prep ahead and have breakfast ready for the rest of the week. All right, so please let us know if you have any questions, and if anyone does have questions, feel free to type in the chat box or come off of mute and you can ask your questions that way too. Otherwise, when you are ready to go continue having an awesome Tuesday, ready to eat your lunch, you can feel free to hop off. Oh, and someone had said making edamame noodles at forkable lengths. Nice. And putting them in your salad. Yeah, that's a good idea. Awesome. Well, I'll be here for a little bit if you have any questions. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and we'll let you know, contact the raffle winners later this afternoon.